Welcome to Agents of Nothing, an episode-by-episode recap and analysis from the perspectives of a veteran and a new recruit. And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We are your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 11, Aftershocks.
Yeah. So, Mariah, how was your week?
It was alright. I mean, nothing much to talk about.
Yeah.
I had my family Thanksgiving and all that, but I've been trying to dress cute at work again because I was slacking for a while between moving and just generally being sad. I kind of slacked off in the cute outfit department, but yeah. I've been at it again, and I've been getting a lot of compliments at work, and that makes me feel nice.
I love when you post them because it makes me feel like I'm still seeing you in real life.
Oh. How was your week?
Mine was good. We had a nice little Friendsgiving, but today I got some news that my move date got pushed up a little bit. So actually wanted to let the listeners know that we may possibly miss next week or be a little bit late because we're with like some out of town stuff and then moving stuff. I don't really know what my next 2 weeks are gonna look like. So just a heads up to y'all. But
for the listeners, this is actually why we took the month of December off.
Everything's good. Yeah. Moving in with my boyfriend, you know?
Yeah.
We're on very different ends of that part of the spectrum, you know? Of life experiences.
I had to move out. You have to move in.
Yeah. But that's it. That's all I got.
Right. Well, let's get into it. I'm very excited. I've been saying for the last 3 episodes, I'm very excited about this episode.
It was so good.
It was. It was written by Marissa Tancharoen and Jed Whedon.
Of course.
Which, that explains it.
Yeah.
And directed by Billy Gearhart.
Billy!
And starting with this episode, Marvel started up the Art of Initiative again, in which an image was released the Thursday before the episode aired, depicting a first look at a key event from the upcoming episode. And this season's title, instead of the Art of Level 7, it's the Art of Evolution.
Nice.
The different artists were once again chosen to create the teaser posters based on their previous work and how it connected to the themes and emotion of the intended episode. The poster for Aftershocks was created by, I'm not sure if it's Gabrielle or Gabriel, but it's spelled sort of like Gabrielle.
I would say Gabrielle.
Gabrielle Delato, the co-creator of Daisy Johnson, and it depicts Skye twice as she is transforming from the Terrigen Mist and as the person dealing with her powers, as well as a transformed Reyna, Coulson, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo in the background. And Delato was chosen specifically because of his relationship to the character.
Nice. Did you put the picture in the drive?
I did.
Let me look at it. Ooh, that's pretty. That's very, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So we meet, we sort of meet, the Hydra elders, but the only one that I remember their name was Mr. Bloom, which I don't think was a real name, but I definitely thought that they said Mr. Blue at first, and I had, flashbacks to the Hulk from 2008.
Yeah.
So. Which is a little shameless promotion for our bonus episode for this month, eventually, when it comes out.
Yeah. I think another name of the Hydra leaders was a Dr. List.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
That's the only one.
That's all I remember. There's Mr. Bloom and Dr. List. Yeah. What are we? Clue?
In the parlor with a candlestick.
Those sound like names from Clue.
Colonel Mustard. It does. Okay, let's get into this, shall we?
Okay.
So, we open on basically a Windows screensaver, just waiting for this kid to hit the corner. And he doesn't have eyes either. So, 1987, I think, was the year. I didn't finish writing the year.
It's 198.
Come on, Caroline.
It's the year 198.
Party like it's 199, baby. Okay. It's 1987-ish, and this kid keeps blipping in and out uncontrollably, and apparently has done so for possibly hours or maybe more since passing through the mist. His name is Gordon. And this woman, was it Jaying or Jaying?
Jaying.
This woman, Jaying, keeps telling him to follow her voice, and then she stops talking, which was so funny to me. But he finally makes it over to her, and she pulls him in for a hug and tells him to just let it out. But he can't cry, Jaying. He doesn't have any tear ducts because he doesn't have eyes anymore.
My note here was, this is so heartbreaking, but Caroline is going to be so confused.
I was. It was just nonsense. That whole opening scene. I was like, I have no idea what's going on, and it's making me laugh so much.
And I was like, oh, Gordon.
I'll feel that way later, maybe, I guess. Anyway, so I was assuming that Jaying was Sky's mom, correct? And Yatsin muses that without Jaying to guide people through this transformation, anyone who went through it would be lost. And then we cut to Sky, obviously.
So this scene marks the very first mention of Terragenesis. You'll learn more about that later.
Oh. I did not catch that word in there at all.
That makes sense, because it doesn't mean anything to you.
Yep. So, Sky wakes up from a dream of watching Trip crumble. So sad. Coulson is there watching her when she wakes up. She says that she keeps dreaming that Trip is there, waiting to call her a goldfish or a hamster for being stuck in her little quarantine med pod.
Her quote when she says, "Every time I wake up, I remember all over again. I just can't believe he's not coming back." This is my first of two really personal notes like this, but this is consistent with like the two kinds of grief that I've experienced in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like between my dad and my recent breakup, it's just so hard to lose someone close to you.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like this was a really good episode. The way that they covered everybody's different grieving methods was, I felt like it was really nice.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So Coulson tries to convince Sky not to feel guilty for Trip being down there in the first place. He says that without Trip undoing the bombs, the damage could have been so much worse than just the earthquake that... Earthquake? He says that without Trip undoing the bombs, the damage could have been so much worse than just the earthquake that, wink wink, the obelisk triggered. Everyone else is grieving in the only way they know how. May is punching things, Mac is welding things, sadly, and Fitz is sadly bringing Mac a towel. And I'm sorry, I'm very sad about Trip, but that was so funny. He just like solemnly walks over and puts this towel down. Anyway, moving on.
Listen, I felt that. I feel that. That was relatable.
Yeah.
I do everything sadly now.
Everything. It's sad girl winter.
It is. It is.
Coulson says that Mac was cleared from quarantine pretty quickly. Apparently whatever took him over in the city seems to be gone now. And I don't know about that. I'm feeling things about it, and I will get into it later. And he says that Simmons is heading a team of excavators to clean up the tunnels and document whatever they find, while they're simultaneously looking for Raina's body, which has not been found yet. And this is also very funny to me because Simmons is not an archaeologist. And I don't really understand why they would have a medical doctor heading an archaeological dig, but I mean, you know, she's a real Jill of all trades, and I love that for her.
I think depending on who you ask, she's not even a medical doctor. She's just a scientist. She's who happens to know doctory things.
She's a scientist in the broadest sense of the word. She does every kind of science.
She does not have a specialty.
Hand her a science, and she is the expert.
I think she's biochem.
Oh, I think she's bi, and I was like, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Canonically.
But I guess that could be doctor things and also, like, geology. Geology is biology, right?
I guess. Kind of. I feel like a geologist would disagree.
Maybe. I don't know. Geologists, sound off in the comments.
Okay, y'all. Editing Mariah here. Geology is in fact not part of biology. Although they are both natural sciences, geology and biology are largely unrelated fields. While geology is the study of rocks, biology is the study of living things, and rocks are not living things. Breaking news.
I love when a cough turns into a laugh.
Yeah. Sorry. There's probably going to be a lot of those. I'm still getting over my cold. It's like mostly gone, but it's still a little bit there.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, Skye still feels immensely guilty and like she caused a massive failure by not just letting the bombs go off and destroy the city. Coulson finally gets through to her, though, that they won a battle, not a war. Trip prevented a disaster, and Whitehall is dead. Those are major successes. So while Hydra scrambles to find a new head, S.H.I.E.L.D. has a chance to take them out completely. He says, I'm going to make someone pay, whoever the hell it is. Coulson's on his vigilante shit again. I'm here for it. So Hydra's elders, apparently, are meeting over wine to discuss Whitehall's death. Some of them thought that he was admirable, and some weren't very fond of him. One of the elders mentions BHG, but since he has disappeared, they guess that he was captured by S.H.I.E.L.D., and therefore, if he's done his duty, he's dead too. The elders agree that whoever can remove S.H.I.E.L.D. from the landscape permanently can get Whitehall's position.
The Hydra operative, played by Henry Goodman, who appeared with Baron von Strucker in the mid-credit scene from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, makes an appearance and is revealed to be named Dr. List.
Oh.
He was just a little cameo, now he has a name.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. Proud of him. So down in the tunnels, one of the excavators gets suddenly pulled around a corner and a pool of blood spills out as a creepy thorned hand reaches around the wall. Found Raina!
My note here was, ooh, shit, it's Raina. In that exact tone.
Simmons goes to speak with her team about the last section of the tunnels. She's slightly dejected as she calls for them to go ahead and photograph and mark it off and then prepare to flood the whole place. She sadly says that she could spend a year down there studying this place. As she walks away, the two agents start to photograph the wall, but suddenly they're both attacked. Raina kills them both with her claws, and she finally catches a glimpse of herself in the agent's hazmat helmet. She's a furry! She is shocked and horrified and runs away as Simmons starts shooting at her. She finally became something, and now she doesn't like it just because she's a furry? Ungrateful. I thought that she looked cute.
She's more like a spiky.
Yeah, I know, but at that point, I only saw it in the helmet, and I was like, she's got like a lion head.
I love the reveal.
Yeah, it was good.
Like, it's so... This whole episode is just so good.
Morris goes to visit Sky at the MedPod and brings her a quarantine survival kit. So it should have, the basics. Toilet paper and masks and disinfectant, hand sanitizer, and, well, it's magazines and candy, but that works too, I guess.
Sky being in quarantine hits different after COVID. Especially you, Caroline, since you're sick right now, even if it's not COVID.
Yes.
It's just a normal cold.
Yeah. It is weird.
It is weird being sick in the time of COVID.
Yeah, it is.
Just like normal sick.
Yeah. Because I wore a mask. I wore a mask to work. And, even when I was, coughing in my mask, I was like, everybody's going to think I'm going to kill them. But they don't. They don't. They might. They won't say it, though.
I need to figure out when I can get my next COVID booster.
Yeah.
I also still haven't gotten my flu shot this year.
Same. Which is probably why I'm sick right now.
Yeah, probably. I need to do it before I get sick. I'll schedule my appointment for Saturday, and then I'll spend all day Sunday going, oh, my arm.
Both of my arms.
I did that last time too. I got the booster in one arm and the flu shot in the other. It was hell.
Anyway, moving on. Sky says this quarantine has been making her feel like a leper. But Morse stops her. She says, you managed to be taken hostage by 3 known murderers. You gunned Ward down. Damn straight! Even if it didn't last. Good for her. And then were blasted by an alien chemical weapon and walked out unscathed. I think you're a rock star. And I love women complimenting each other!
Bobby is the best.
Yes. Okay. Mac finds Fitz puttering over Sky's destroyed Fitbit, and he's frustrated because, quote, the data in my head is jumbled today. And it took me a second to remember that conversation from a couple of episodes ago, but then I remembered it and I was like, okay, I get it now. But so Mac offers to get his small electronics toolkit out so Fitz can tinker around with it some more. Fitz tries to ask Mac how he's doing since his whole ordeal, and Mac suddenly gets very, overly defensive and, frankly, a little rude. And when Fitz says that he understands what Mac is going through, Mac is like, oh, really? You know what it's like? And then he lists, 4 things that Mac himself has helped Fitz through in, the last 2 months. And Fitz is like, yeah. And Mac's like, oh, right. My bad.
The full quote, you know what it's like to lose control, to be trapped inside your own body, unable to tell it what to do, to watch yourself hurt the people that you care about. This is the second of the 2 very personal notes. So at the risk of being a little too vulnerable and open in this episode, that's what it's felt like to be me sometimes.
Yeah.
Whether it's a meltdown or a manic episode, it's not me in the driver's seat. And it's terrifying because, I may not be in control, but I'm the one who's gonna have to deal with the aftermath and, the fallout.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine.
So I can get where Mac is coming from, because it does feel like no one has ever been through that. Right. Even, I know that I'm not the only one, but, when I get myself into trouble, I'm like, no one will ever understand.
Yeah. Thank you for being so vulnerable in this episode.
Thanks. Or you're welcome. I don't know.
Anyway, we can move on. But then Mac drops some more anti-alien sentiment while he looks over at Sky in quarantine. I don't like that. Simmons informs Coulson and May about the Raina situation and that she seemed to be bulletproof and thorny in the tunnels. The horny to thorny pipeline, if you will. Simmons is now worried about Sky and wanting to do some more testing against Raina's DNA that was left behind. So Coulson tells her to come on home and for the other agents in San Juan to start the manhunt for Raina, while his team is going after Hydra now. Coulson's meeting with the rest of the team starts to get heated when Mac blames Coulson and Sky for Tripp's death, saying it wouldn't have happened if they hadn't been so obsessed with the alien messages in their damn heads. And I understand the need to blame someone, but this whole fight here, like, erupted when Fitz defended Mac by saying that he didn't choose what happened to him. But then Mac is angry at Coulson and Skye for things that they certainly didn't choose either. And then May jumps in to remind Mac who his boss is, and Hunter starts in on May, so then Morris is trying to, like, diffuse everyone, and everyone is just out of line. I think they all just need to go take a nap, because they've been through a lot, okay? Yeah. And then also, as Skye is getting more stressed out, the things around her are starting to shake, but no one notices that or her biometric monitors blinking red and beeping. It was a very intense fight.
Yeah. And then you're like, when the shaking starts, you're like holding your breath, like, oh my God. Yeah. Is this when everyone's going to find out? Like, oh my God.
Right.
She's going to accidentally expose herself.
And I kept thinking, like, God, she doesn't know what's happening.
Can you imagine how terrifying?
Right.
I don't know how having powers feels. If it's some sort of, like, pull that, like, you can tell you're doing it somehow. But, like, yeah. Can you imagine, like, knowing that you're causing this, but, like, not understanding how or why, and not knowing how to stop it so that no one finds out?
It's like, every time you have a panic attack, everything starts, like, crumbling around you, and then that literally just causes you to have more of a panic attack.
I think that I wouldn't have, if I were Skye, when the fight calmed down, I would have still been freaking out over the thing shaking. Yeah. And I would have
been like,
totally
help!
Exposed myself.
Help, please!
What is happening? What is happening?
Can y'all shut the fuck up for a second?
Guys, it's shaking. It's shaking in here.
Anyway, so the plan so far seems to be to trade BHG to the U.S. government for their cooperation in handling the remaining Hydra organization. So while Coulson and May drive BHG to the drop-off, they start stage whispering to each other about how valuable he must be now without Whitehall in order to bait him into whatever plan I'm sure they have in place. And then a truck crashes into their car, and several armed soldiers start swarming and shooting at them. May takes them all out single-handedly, because of fucking course she does. But as they're running away, another soldier appears and shoots May, and then Coulson. And then Coulson's scream was so funny and unserious. They'll never take us alive. So then BHG runs after the stray soldier, and they get in the car together and drive. Then the soldier takes off his helmet, and it's Hunter! Hunter tells BHG, I guess I answer to you now, sir. And he has a decent accent for once. I gotta give it to him. It was okay.
I kind of like his accent here, like, better than the British accent.
Yeah.
Something about the British accent just makes him, like, I don't know, he sounds
douchey. But then I think it's funny that, like, they say that his American accent makes him sound douchey. I think he sounds douchey all the time.
The British accent makes him sound, like, cocky and pretentious, and the American accent just sounds cocky, which, you know,
is bad enough.
Is better.
We have covered this before. I unfortunately am into cocky men, which is why I'm not dating men anymore.
So, back in the garage where the fight was choreographed, someone yells clear and everyone starts getting up. May also laughs at Coulson's acting and his "you'll never take me alive" line. Back at the bunker, Fitz is still working on Skye's watch. He says it looks like it was crushed from the inside out and he's extremely confused by it. But he won't be able to figure out any answers without Simmons testing anyway. Max seems to be cooled off now and is trying to help. And I don't trust him since he's gotten back from the tunnels. Something's off. As BHG gets off the phone with Mr. Bloom, Hunter points a gun at him and says he's been ordered to kill him. BHG, weenie that he is, begs and pleads for his life. He promises to take Hunter to the true heads of Hydra and assure him good standing and financial compensation for life. Simmons visits Skye in the quarantine, and they discuss how dangerous Raina's DNA results are. That if Skye is infected in any way, it could lead to an epidemic. Simmons is becoming increasingly distraught as she admits to feeling guilty for not trying to rid the world of superpowers. Skye starts to interject that powers don't have to be a bad thing, and it's just a part of the world that they live in. But Simmons cuts her off in tears, saying that good powers, like the Avengers, wouldn't be necessary if alien horrors hadn't been unleashed upon the world, and countless people might still be alive right now, and Trip wouldn't have been in pieces. And poor Simmons. I hate that she feels so guilty for simply trying to understand things. Like, her curiosity is not a death sentence.
I just love the different reactions to grief from each character in this episode, especially Gemma's.
Mm-hmm.
And I get more into it later, but I just think that it's really, really well played out.
Yeah. This was a really good episode. It's so well done.
Yeah.
In San Juan, Cal's dialogue is still being captioned as Zabo, which was interesting. And Cal is hiding out between storage containers on a ship or a dock. I can't tell. I don't know what it is. Raina slowly walks up on him and says that he looks just like he did for all the years that he was searching for answers. Cal doesn't look at her at first, and then is shocked when he finally turns around and sees what she's evolved into. A cactus. Sorry. She says her grandmother had always told her that she'd become some kind of angel or some other transcendent being. So she's angry that she's turned into, quote, some gnarled freak of nature covered in thorns. Cal says, "You always did like flowers," which was funny. But the thorns are apparently extremely painful, and she believes that Skye received the gift that Raina was entitled to, since she walked out, quote, as beautiful as ever. But Cal lights up when he hears this. He's delighted. But he's worried about how Skye will be treated at S.H.I.E.L.D. as a powered person. Raina begs for his help too, but Cal just says, "You're on your own, kid. You always have been." He tells her that her lifelong dream is indeed lifelong. There is no way to change or reverse what's been done. Raina says that her insides feel like gravel, and she cuts herself every time she moves. She doesn't want to live as this repulsive creature. And Cal says, "Then don't." Fucking savage, actually. And then they both walk away. And I really thought that Raina was going to try to kill him again. But she didn't. She was too sad.
I know that she had it coming, but I do still feel bad for Raina. No surprise there, folks. I'm still a Raina apologist.
We all know you're in love with her. So Hunter and BHG pull up to a gated driveway where BHG goes in alone and tells Hunter to wait for him. Morse joins Hunter in the car after BHG leaves and tells him that an American accent makes him sound like a douchebag. And I'm pretty sure that's just him as a person, though.
I literally had the same thought. Like, sound like?
Right?
Sound like?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Then Hunter annoyingly chides Morse for, quote, not taking a stand during the family argument at HQ. And I feel like she was right to just kind of try and keep the peace there. Like, that was not a right-wrong kind of argument. That was just kind of everyone feeling a lot of really tough feelings and having nowhere to put them. So, I don't know. I didn't like that. Hunter pushes on, accusing Morse of having a secret with Mac. And why does it matter if she does? I don't. He keeps bringing this up as if he is entitled to all of the information about all of the relationships that she has outside of him when, like, they're not even together. She's allowed to keep some things private. Anyway, but she begrudgingly tells him that she and Mac are in a support group together for S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. And I'm so glad. I don't know if that was true or not, but If it is, I'm really glad. Because the Hydra takeover / Shield downfall would have been so fucking traumatic.
It would. Yeah.
And Hunter is surprised that Morse's secret is, quote, actually, like, emotionally healthy. Bitch, what the fuck would he know about emotionally healthy?
No, really. Like, are we actually supposed to believe that she's the toxic one? I cannot tell.
Right?
This is a genuine question. Because this is a classic, like, show, don't tell situation. Because all we've seen is her being the literal fucking best. But we've been told that she's unstable.
Right. Now,
And
okay, I will, to give the benefit of the doubt, there are a lot of abusers out there who seem wonderful on the outside looking in and are actually terrible in private. However, I don't know that that's the case here.
even the private moments. Like, even the private moments that we see is, like, her being, like,
pretty great. Yeah.
good to him.
Yep. Right, because she's still, like...
And it's, like, even the scene of her talking about, like, her relationships and how it's, like, a roller coaster and all that. Like, it
right,
seems like she engages in these, like, unhealthy patterns. But, like, she seems very emotionally intelligent and self-aware.
Yeah.
And, like, we're being
I
told that she's toxic, but we're not seeing it.
Right. Now, at the end of this episode, though, we do have a moment that I don't know what's going to happen. But I will say that I just keep waiting for her to, like, not be awesome. And so far, it hasn't happened. Anyway, moving on. So, back at HQ, Mac and Simmons catch up with Coulson and May, and Mac apologizes for his outburst. And this is actually, the way it's written, this is a really good apology, and I wanted to make note of why, because with some recent events in my life, I've realized that the vast majority of us are not taught how to properly apologize, and we really do not see it healthily displayed in most media. So, I did want to say this. So, first of all, he takes accountability for his actions. He admitted that he was wrong. He said that he was out of line. He offered an explanation for why it happened without minimizing the hurt that he may have caused or excusing his own behavior and his own actions. And then he stated the underlying issue that he is currently working on so that it won't happen again. And then he asks for forgiveness, but doesn't expect it outright. He says, I hope this doesn't ruin my chances of being able to work on Lola, which is, it's a way of asking for forgiveness, but it also is like, it's a request for forgiveness, but it brings levity to the moment to kind of bring them back out of the deep feelings, and also reminding Coulson about that they were in good standing before this happened. So I'm sorry for this analysis, but I just am really happy to see a good apology portrayed in a dramatic show like this, because I've never seen it happen before.
Do not apologize for the analysis. I love it. Analyze more.
Okay. Yeah, I really liked that. He did a good job. So, great job, Marissa and Jed. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Good job teaching people how to apologize.
You guys must have an amazing marriage.
For real. But also, the way that Simmons is watching this conversation go down tells me that, like, maybe she coached Mac on this a little bit. I don't know. And speaking of Simmons, she brings up the search for Raina and that the team has orders to capture, not kill. May says, of course, as always. But Simmons tries to choose her words carefully here, but basically she thinks that they should kill Raina in order to eradicate the plague that she may or may not be unleashing upon the world right now. May and Coulson do hear her out, but they seem a little concerned and confused that she would hold this opinion. And as they walk away, unfortunately, Skye has heard this whole thing.
Again, such a good depiction of an overcorrection as a reaction to grief.
Yes.
Like, she's spouting these ideas and rhetoric that she never would have held before. In fact, she might not even hold them at all, but it's what she thinks, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's that, like, she's like, well, everything leading up to this didn't stop this horrible loss from happening, so maybe I need to try the complete opposite, you know?
Yeah. It's like a swing in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
She's thinking with emotional mind, not rational mind.
Yes.
DBT therapy.
We're really getting into the psychology here, folks. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, man, and before I've even seen my new therapist.
I know. I have an appointment on Thursday.
I love it. Okay. So then BHG and Mr. Bloom call one of the other Hydra elders, and they discuss some of the elder infighting that has been going on and how to stop it. And I really hate code names. Who the fuck are these people? And then BHG that I said I hate code names, and that I've been calling him BHG. It didn't even register to me until just now. Anyway, just gonna ignore that then. So then BHG mentions Hunter in the car outside, quote, begging to die. Actually, you were begging to live, you little weasel. So then we see Skye is listening to the latest Taylor Swift album, which would have been 1989 at this point, I'm pretty sure. Patton's favorite album. And
It was 2014.
Yep.
Well, it might not...
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what time of year it was.
Yeah. Oh, that's a thought experiment. Actually, let me look it up, because now I need to know. It premiered on March 3rd, 2015. Uh-huh.
It was
so
out.
It was 1989.
Hell yeah. Anyway, so she finally comes to from the reverie of Wonderland and finds Fitz hesitating outside her quarantine pod. He's suspicious of her because he finally fixed her watch and he saw the last reading, which showed her heart rate at an inhuman speed. He slowly tells her his conclusion, which is that Skye did not come out of that temple unchanged like she wanted to believe. Skye is trying not to freak out, but then the screens start blowing out behind her and the lights start, like, fucking exploding. And I do love a slow-mo scream moment.
It's an iconic scene.
Yeah. And then Fitz runs away. And this is a very serious moment, but it was so funny. The way that he puts his hands on his hips, and then the way he ran away, it was so funny. I love him so much.
Would you not also run away, though?
I feel like I'd be pretty worried about her. I don't know. I feel like I would have assumed something else happened. And I've been like, oh my god, come out. Are you okay?
I feel like if you were confronting me about something and I'm like, no, and then I cover my ears and scream and all of the lights around me shatter, I feel like you would run away. Like, you can say otherwise, I just feel like you would.
I don't know.
I wouldn't blame you. I would run away if that happened the opposite direction. I would definitely
And I would be
run away
really
from
mad at you for running away.
You would. And I'd be like, bitch, the lights exploded.
I'd be like,
what did
I'm
you
trapped
want me
in
to
here.
Well,
Help!
whose fault is that?
Not mine. Anyway, oh, by the way, also Raina is about to walk into oncoming traffic. I don't feel like that's gonna have the effect she wants it to have, but I'm feeling sad for her.
Yeah.
A little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
She probably would have, like, shredded the cars.
Literally.
Poor baby. That poor evil woman.
I know. Listen, she's honestly just has been trying to fucking survive with whatever she had working for her at the time. And you know what? Good for her.
All with this ultimate goal in mind, and then the ultimate disappointment.
Yeah. So Sky is trying and struggling to clean up the broken glass with only her hands and a washcloth. And I'm like, they didn't put any kind of like broom in there, obviously. Why would they have? But it didn't occur to me until she was trying to pick up these broken glass shards. And I was like, why is she doing that? Oh yeah, they wouldn't have given her anything. Anyway, so she's doing that when May comes in to comfort her. Sky plays off her nerves as just the weird feeling of living in a literal glass box. So then they talk about how they've not seen Coulson like this before. May explains that Coulson is always devastated to lose an agent, but losing Trip is especially excruciating, because Trip was the embodiment of everything that S.H.I.E.L.D. was always supposed to be. His compassion, loyalty, and heart are the principles that Coulson wants his rebuilt S.H.I.E.L.D. organization to stand on, for that to be their strength. She says, Trip's death reminded Coulson that Hydra doesn't have that, and that is their weakness. And during this, we see Coulson bringing Trip's Howland Commando case back to his family, and he catches Trip's mom, I assume, and holds her as she just breaks down. And I needed to take a break at that point. Like, just, wow. I'm so glad that they, like, basically dedicated a whole episode to mourning Trip, and they did it so well.
Yeah. I've said it before, but the way that this show actually has consequences, I don't just mean that people die. I mean that they show how someone would actually react to their friend dying.
Yeah. Mr. Bloom enters a code on a hidden fucking credit card machine or something, and then Hydra agents near all the different elders all over the world start seeing their watches glowing red. Hunter and Morse's car is flanked by Hydra agents who start shooting at them. So Hunter flips a switch for then a shit ton of guns and cannons to appear on the outside of the SUV, and they shoot all of the Hydra agents at once. And then they drive straight through the gate. And it's clearly not a very sturdy gate either. Mr. Bloom is really cutting some corners on the security detail.
Or it's a really strong SUV.
Maybe so. Maybe so. So all of the Hydra elders are murdered in one way or another. And then Hunter and Morse enter the room to shoot Mr. Bloom and everyone else except BHG. BHG realizes that Coulson has just taken out the entire leadership of Hydra without lifting a finger. Fucking genius.
He turned them all against each other.
I love it.
Because none of them trust each other. None of them have any sort of relationship outside of their thirst for power.
Yep. And they know that they would turn their back on the other. They would turn on the other ones in a heartbeat. So why wouldn't the other ones turn on them in the same way?
Yeah.
So then Morse and Hunter escort him out to take him to General Talbot. May finally notices that Sky's bleeding, and Simmons comes in just then to announce that the DNA results are almost complete. Sky starts to lose it and is about to admit what happened with Fitz earlier, but then Fitz joins them just in time and takes the blame, saying that he knocked over a lamp trying to take Sky's blood with a stupid hazmat suit on. Then he gives him his iPad, showing that Sky's DNA looks exactly the same as it was before, so her quarantine can be over now. May goes to tell Coulson the good news, and Fitz suggests that Simmons go get some clean sheets for Sky's bunk, since last time he was in there was ladies' things, and also she's a slob. Once Simmons leaves, Fitz starts to clean up Sky's bleeding hand and whispers that Sky's DNA was drastically different, but that since everyone, especially Simmons, has been acting so hostile towards aliens and powers lately, he doesn't think it's safe for anyone else to know right now. Their hug. I want a Fitz hug. I just know that must have felt so good, just that hug.
Yeah.
He tells her there's nothing wrong with her. She's just different now, and that's okay. And I was sobbing. Like, of course he would understand that. Ugh.
I was also full body sobbing during this scene. It's so beautiful.
It was fantastic. Oh my god. Oh. Raina starts slowly walking across a busy highway when 4 SUVs full of SHIELD agents surround her and announce that they don't want to kill her, they're just taking her in. But Raina says, either you kill me or I make you do it. But just then, a fucking portal / force field opens and the eyeless guy appears, telling her, it's okay, beautiful, I'll show you the way, before he pulls her in and they disappear together.
So, the it's okay, beautiful, it was fine when Jiaying said it, but a man saying it?
I don't know. Has been saying this whole episode that she's like a godforsaken creature, wretched creature. So I'm sure she appreciated it. It doesn't mean that I want to hear it, but
Yeah.
anyway. So now it's time for the post-content content. The Lola replica that Mac made was never meant to fly, was it? It starts to open on its own, and a laser starts scanning Coulson's office. While May, Sky, Fitzsimmons, Morse, Hunter, and Mac are all hanging out reminiscing about Trip, Morse and Mac convene in the kitchen while getting some more snacks. And Mac tells her that he's confirmed Coulson has Fury's toolbox in his office. Morse says that she will, quote, make contact soon. And why would they ruin this beautiful Trip moment with that shit? I don't want to hear it. I wanted to hear them reminiscing more. But Simmons finishes telling a story and says, he'd be so mad I'm telling you that story. And Sky says, no, he'd say, come on, girl.
Come on, girl.
I would watch an entire episode of them just talking about Trip. I feel like we barely got any stories about him, and I wanted more.
We had a little party after my dad's funeral, and it was basically just like this. Everyone just telling stories about him. So this was a really nice moment.
Yeah. I always say that, like, the best way to keep someone alive is to tell stories. So I always love when people tell me stories about someone in their life, even if I didn't know them or like I didn't have much interaction with them. I want to hear everybody's stories because I think that's a really important part of like being a human is like telling stories.
Yeah. So let's get into it. What's your overall thoughts?
I swear to God, if Morse is a double agent, I'm gonna cry. And if they make Fitz's first new friend after Ward betray him too, I'm gonna fucking riot. Also, this was a very lovely Trip butte. How about you? What were your thoughts?
So my last little fun fact was this episode was originally titled Epidemic.
Oh. Yeah, that would have aged well.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like Aftershocks though. I think they went the right direction on the title.
Yeah, absolutely, because it really it's with the themes. It's a nice little double entendre.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that concludes our episode on season 2, episode 11, Aftershocks.
Yeah.
Next week we'll be covering season 2, episode 12, Who You Really Are. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Love you.